Distinguished leaders, patrons, partners, and friends. Today is a moment to reaffirm what truly matters: health and safety, environmental protection, the strength of our communities, the skills that lift people from the margins, energy that respects the planet, the empowerment of women as a driving force of progress. These are not isolated goals. They're the pillars on which a stable and prosperous nation stands. Apex Foundation India has placed these priorities at the center of its mission. This alignment is not accidental. It reflects a truth that serious practitioners know very well. Systems only shift when every critical leverage point is addressed with discipline and with clarity. When we treat health as infrastructure, when we see environmental resilience as economic security, when we view community upliftment or communal upliftment as the fastest route to nation competitiveness, any nation's competitiveness, when women no longer fight for a seat at the table but define the table itself. Let me start with health and safety across India. The strongest interventions have always been the ones that combine prevention with accountability. We cannot rely on reactive models. Modern public health demands early detection, workplace standards that are enforced with zero tolerance, transparent data on occupational risks, and a culture where safety is seen as an economic multiplier. When workers feel protected, productivity rises. When families are secure, communities thrive. This is not theory, it is a pattern observed across sectors from manufacturing to logistics to food processing. Environmental protection. It is no longer about compliance, it is about foresight. Climate volatility is rewriting supply chains, reshaping asset values, and redefining risk. Companies that integrate environmental forecasting into boardroom decisions survive and expand. Governments that protect watersheds and air quality create breathing room for long-term growth. True environmental stewardship means using science-based thresholds, not symbolic promises. It means treating natural resources as living capital that strengthens or weakens a nation. CSR and community upliftment follow the same logic. Communities are not beneficiaries, they are partners in stability. When CSR funds flow into short campaigns, the impact dissolves. When they're directed to targeted, multi-year programs shaped by the community itself, the results transform entire districts. We have seen this in rural entrepreneurship models, early childhood education centers, and skilling hubs that link directly to local industry. Community resilience is built through trust, participation, and continuity. Skill upliftment is another core driver. The world is not short of talent. It is short of alignment between education and opportunity. Skill programs must reflect regional economic realities. Training must be paired with apprenticeships, industry coalitions, and mobility pathways. Skill upliftment cannot sit apart from the economic planning. It must guide it. Successful countries do not train people and hope the market responds. They design ecosystems where talent, technology, and industry rise together. Green energy sits at the crossroads of innovation and a much deserved necessity. India has a potential to lead the world. Yet leadership requires more than capacity addition. It requires grid modernization, incentives for storage, and policy frameworks that reward efficiency as much as power generation. Green energy cannot be a patch. It must be the operating principle. When power systems become cleaner and more predictable, every other sector gains stability. The empowerment of women is the multiplier that connects all the rest that I've been talking about. Studies show that women gain access to capital, social impact accelerates when women enter leadership roles. Governance becomes sharper when girls stay in school, communities experience long-term gains in health and income. Empowerment is not an agenda item. It is the smartest investment a country can make, and the returns arrive steadily and repeatedly. For years now, I have worked at the intersection of policy, strategy, and collective action. Through Power of Policy, which is one of my platforms for advocacy and pragmatic policy reframing, I have focused on translating high intent into high impact. Policies often fail not because they lack ambition, but because they lack alignment. They lack the practical bridges that connect the boardroom, the ministry, the investor, and the citizen. My work has been to build those bridges and make them durable. Through Berta's World, which is another one of our platforms, I have pushed further. There, our aim is to recalibrate systems at scale, not to adjust the margins, but to rethink the underlying logic. We ask the harder questions. What must governance look like in a world shaped by climate volatility? How do we hardwire equity into the design of emerging markets? How do we create economic engines that value human potential as much as financial returns? These are the questions that major conglomerates and government bodies bring to me when they want solutions that withstand scrutiny and time. Yet, no platform or leader can do this alone. Real progress only comes when individual dedication aligns with institutional purpose, when communities trust the process, when businesses treat sustainability not as an obligation, but as an advantage, when governments see social protection as a foundation for growth. The future belongs to the collective, not the isolated. This is why today's event matters. Apex Foundation India is creating a space where commitment becomes action and action becomes momentum. Each program in health, safety, environment, CSR, skills, upliftment, green energy, and women's empowerment is a statement that our future is not waiting for us. It is asking us to shape it. If we want cleaner air and a safer workplace, stronger communities, and a more confident workforce, we must choose coordination instead of silos. We must choose long-term thinking over short-term applause. We must choose courage over convenience. The great speeches that moved nations were not only powerful, they were precise. They called people to rise above the habit and see the horizon ahead. Today, I ask of all of you the very same. Let us build a future where sustainability is the standard, where empowerment is the norm, where opportunity is not earned by privilege, but created by design. Let us prove that India can not only lead in scale, but in our vision, not only in our ambition, but in our very execution. This is our moment to act. And if we act with clarity, unity, and purpose, the next generation will look back and say that this was the turning point, that this was a time when leaders, citizens, and institutions chose to move together. So, my dear audience, let's choose to move together. Thank you so very much for your time and your patience.